England have just released their squad for their opening game in the Six Nations against Wales at Allianz Stadium, also known as Twickenham. This is going to be an absolutely awesome game. Wales and England have a rivalry that goes back years, and this is such a good game for them to have at the start. And I think Wales are going to come out firing with a young, fresh, really motivated squad, and I think Steve Borthwick's chosen the right team for this England side. The thing with this England side, there's so much depth that you can honestly, it doesn't matter who you choose, I think they'll perform. There's a lot of depth in every single position, and that's really a positive for the squad going forward into a long season this year. I mean, they've got the Six Nations that they're going to try win. They're definitely one of the favourites now. They've got the Nations Cup, which they're going to try win as well later in the year. They have to tour to the Southern Hemisphere and play a few teams there. The first game being South Africa, which is going to be a very tough one. And then they also have the end of year tour, the Nations Cup at the end of the season at home. So it's a long season for these guys, and I can't wait for them to get started. So getting right into it, they've gone for Ellis Genge, vice captain at number 1. Jamie George gets the captaincy at number 2. Joe Hayes at number 3. A very solid front row. I mean, you can't really ask for more there. Ellis Genge is in the form of his life. Jamie George, only a season and a half or 2 seasons left with England. He's going to really want to go out on a high. He's a legend in the England jersey, and he's the right guy to captain this team this weekend. Joe Hayes, he's been solid for Tigers. He's a solid player, and I think he's going to do just fine this weekend. He's a very good scrummager, and they need that against a physical team like Wales. Alex Coles and Ollie Chesham in the lock pair. I think that's a very exciting lock pair to have this weekend. Alex Coles is one of those guys. He's almost like a Franco Mostert. He's such a big engine, and he just doesn't stop. And I think he's a guy to look out for, especially for non-England fans. For me as a neutral, he's the one guy I'm really excited to see how he goes in the England jersey. And I think he's one of those big game players that could have some really big moments or just have some very big performances in some very key games going forward. I mean, going up again alongside Ollie Chesham, that's one guy you'll be more than happy to go alongside against. He is such a good British and Irish Lion player. He's really come through and made a statement the last few years that he needs to be in that starting jersey every time. Obviously, Maury Itoje I thought would start, but I think he had some family commitments he had to go to, some family emergency. So it's obviously understandable that he's not starting. He came back into the squad. He was on the bench. He'll probably be the captain next week and the starter. I mean, he is listed as a captain for England, so obviously condolences to him, and I think he'll come back starting next week, but he'll make a massive impact off the bench as well. So he's a good guy to have off the bench, the England captain off the bench. What more could you ask for? Now the loose trio, this is where it gets so exciting. I actually got this one right for somehow. Guy Pepper number 6, Sam Underhill number 7, and Ben Earl number 8. That is a phenomenal loose trio. All short, stocky, really solid rugby players, and I think the tackle count between those three is going to be sky high in this game against Wales. These guys know how to tackle. They love to tackle. They're good with ball in hand. They can fetch balls. They're short. They're stocky. They get around the park. They have massive engines, and I think that's one thing looking at this England forward pack is that they have a very high work rate. It's not just individual skill sets that sets them apart. It's their non-coachable things that sets them apart as well. These guys all have massive engines, and they just don't stop working. So I think that's one thing with this England side, especially the forward pack, which is really positive, and I'm really excited to see about them. I think Guy Pepper, Sam Underhill, and Ben Earl, you pretty much couldn't get more of a better loose trio than that. I mean, obviously Tom Curry's on the bench, and I think he'll probably be starting some of the other games, but it's really good to see a guy like Guy Pepper play amongst those guys like Sam Underhill and Ben Earl. That's going to be insane to watch. Number 9 and 10, they've gone for Alex Mitchell. The other vice captain, the very experienced George Ford. I kind of thought that was going to happen. I think George Ford is the kind of guy this year. He's had a very good end of the season last year against the All Blacks, the Wallabies, Argentina. And I think right now, looking at 2027, only 2 years left, you're not really looking past that. You're only looking at that for now. And I think he's the guy to take them forward. He's a big game player. He can win big matches. He's got that insane ability to have really accurate drop kicks, which is just such a good skill set to have at this level. I mean, if you are down by 2 points, down by a point, and you need something, penalty advantage in front of the poles, he'll get that for you. He's probably a 80% drop kicker in front of the poles like that, which is a very good skill to have. So yeah, George Ford, I think he's the right guy for England right now at 10, and alongside Alex Mitchell, they're building a really good combination. And Alex Mitchell is such an underrated rugby player right now. He's such a good player, and I think England have really world-class nines right now, and they're really building depth in every position. The centre pair is where it gets a bit interesting for me. I did not expect this to happen. I thought there was the possibility it could happen, but it's the two Northampton Saints against next to each other, Fraser Dingwall and Tommy Freeman. I'm very excited to see Tommy Freeman at 13. That might be where they experiment with him going forward. I thought it would be Max Ojomo and Ollie Lawrence in the centres with Tommy Freeman on the wing, but obviously they're going to try something else for this game. Fraser Dingwall is a very solid player. You know what you're going to get out of him. Consistent performances, and he'll be very comfortable alongside Alex Mitchell inside of him and Tommy Freeman outside of him. And I think same goes for Tommy Freeman. He's going to be very comfortable with a guy like George Ford and Fraser Dingwall inside of him, who he plays with, Fraser Dingwall, every single weekend for Northampton Saints. So that's a very interesting centre combination he's chosen, but also a very exciting one, and I'm very excited to see how they go. I think Tommy Freeman is the kind of player who either give you an exceptional game or his average game will just be a very good game. He doesn't really go below that. He's a very consistent player at a very high level. So he's the perfect guy to have in that position. And I'm really excited to see how he goes at 13. On the wings, they've gone for their blisteringly quick Henry Arundel and the guy who I think I'm the most excited for in the England squad, Emmanuel Faye-Waboso. I think those two right there are just... It's just pure speed if you look at that. And if you think Tommy Freeman, who normally plays wing, is very fast as well on 13, and then you have Emmanuel Faye-Waboso and Henry Arundel outside, that is pure pace. And I think you're going to need it against this Wales side who have some really lightning quick back three players and some really lightning quick backline players. Because you can't take this Wales team lightly. Yes, they've had a rough few seasons, but whenever they play against England, it's a game they want to win. It's a game in their eyes they have to win, and they've got some really good players as well coming through, and I'm glad that this England side has gone for a full-strength team like this. So yeah, Henry Arundel and Emmanuel Faye-Waboso, those two are guys I'm really excited to see, and I'm really excited to see as well what they'll do if they try bring in the two Bard centres. Will they move Tommy Freeman to the wing, or will they try mix up some other way? Will they put Ollie Lawrence at 12 with Tommy Freeman at 13, or Max Ojomo at 12, Tommy Freeman at 13? It's going to be very interesting to see how that centre pair and how those wings change throughout the year. Or will it be like this? Is this what he thinks is the best? Is this what Steve Borthwick thinks is the best? I don't know. But it's going to be very interesting to see. And yeah, I'm very happy with that in the England backline. I think those two are going to get stuck in and they're going to have a great game. Freddie Stewart at 15. One of those guys I said, I'd rather have him starting than on the bench. It's good that they have a guy like Marcus Smith on the bench who he can play basically any position, 10, wing, fullback. All of those key positions, he can play 10 and 15 if need be. So if they see that Freddie Stewart's having a poor game or struggling, they can take him off and put Marcus Smith on. If they see that George Ford's struggling or George Ford gets an injury, they can always put Marcus Smith on there. So he's one of those players. He's very flexible, versatile. You can put him anywhere and he'll play well. So I think it was a bit of a no-brainer starting Freddie Stewart at 15, especially when you have a guy like Thomas Williams who's going to put on a lot of accurate box kicks on that back three, and they're going to really test them. So it's going to be interesting to see how Faye-Waboso and Henry Arundel, how they actually go up against the Wales wings, probably Zammit and Josh Adams maybe. I'm not sure who they're going to choose, but I know Wales have some really talented players in the aerial battles, and they've got some really good kickers as well, so that's going to be an interesting battle. Now on the bench, they've gone for Luke Cowan-Dickie at 16, which I think is a very good choice for them. A British and Irish line. It's good to see him getting some caps again for England. He's a very underrated player in my opinion. Obviously, he was supposed to go to France and some other things happened and he stayed in England, but I think that was probably the best thing for his career to happen because he's such a good player, and I think he's one of those guys that can make a big impact off the bench. And I know England, going with a 6-2 split now especially, are really focusing on their bench. What do they call them? The POM squad or something. They're really focusing on their bench to make a big impact, because once they get to that 60 or 55-minute mark, you can either bring on a pair of fresh legs, or if the guys are going well, you can just slot them in a few minutes apart and bring those guys on and just funnel them in. So I think this England bench as well, just looking from the outside, is a quality bench, and a bench that when you put them on and take the starters off, you're not going to lose much. You might actually just gain something in the last 20 to 25 minutes of the game. Then Bevan Rodd and Trevor Davidson, the two props, I think they'll be fine. I don't think they're at the level of a Joe Hayes and an Ellis Gench, but I think they're going to be just fine off the bench, and it's going to be good experience for this bench front row to get some game time together. And I'm pretty sure if England are ahead by quite a bit early, they might even bring them on at half time or something, just to get that experience in game time, because once these guys get more experience and more game time, it's just going to help them so much throughout their careers. It's going to be a very positive thing for this England side going forward, because just chucking players in the deep end together will just make them a lot better. That's just how it is. I think that's why this Wales team also will get better, because their players have been forced to be thrown into the deep end the last few years, the young guys, and they're just getting better and better and better from it. And you're seeing it at club level as well. Maury Itoje at number 19, already spoke about that. I think he had some family issues, but yeah, it's very good to see him in the squad. The captain of the overall squad, he's going to definitely make an impact when he comes on. It's going to be interesting to see how he plays with only 20 to 25 minutes, or will they bring him on earlier. But luckily, if there's a lot of injuries in the team, he's always a guy you can move to the back row if necessary, or you can move other guys around like Alex Coles or Ollie Chesham. So those guys can all move around. And I think Mario Toji is going to make a big impact off the bench. With only 25 to 30 minutes, I think he's going to have an excellent play off the bench. Tom Curry, I don't know why I thought he was injured. I think it was his twin brother. I always get them confused. But yeah, Tom Curry, a guy on the bench. I think going into the bigger games, he will start because he's a big time player. He's one of the best players in this team. He's one of the best forwards in this team. And in my opinion, he's one of the best rugby players in the world. He's a phenomenal player. And him alongside Henry Pollock on the bench are going to make a huge impact coming on together. Tom Curry kind of gives you that Sam Underhill kind of a playing style where you can make big tackles, make some big steals, get some big moments, but really get stuck in. And then Henry Pollock's the kind of guy that an open play can just keep going. He's an athlete. He's one of the fastest forwards in world rugby for sure. And I think once he gets into open space, he can score some good tries like he does for Northampton Saints, because Henry Pollock is a very good player. I know a lot of people see what he does with his antics and stuff, but looking at him as a player, he's a very good player, and in the wide channels he's extremely quick. So going into this game, I honestly thought they were going to play Chandler Cunningham South off the bench because of his versatility, but because they have a Mario Itoje and a Tom Curry, they don't need that right now. So I think their bench forward pack is really strong, and the likes of Luke Cowan-Dickie, Mario Itoje, Tom Curry and Henry Pollock are going to add a lot coming on off the bench, and I think Wales need to be ready for that, because when those guys come on, the POM squad, the England version of the bomb squad, is going to be like a bomb squad. They are going to make a big impact. They're going to play quick, they're going to play aggressive, and they're going to look to get some quick points on the board. Now, number 22, they've gone for Ben Spencer, who, in my opinion, is one of the best scrum halves in the world. I think he is probably the best guy you can have to back up a guy like Alex Mitchell, because Ben Spencer doesn't exactly play the same type of game plan as Alex Mitchell. Alex Mitchell is very accurate with his box kicks. He's a very good kicker. He can grind out a game. He can play those first 60 minutes. He's a very good starter. Whereas I think Ben Spencer, he can do that as well, but he can play very well in open play. He's a very good athlete. He's very quick. He's very good around the edges, around the fringes. He's very good at going blindside his snipes. He's very good with that. So I think he's a perfect guy to have later on in the game. And if you are protecting a lead or a close game, he can get stuck in, get some nice contestable kicks up. He's a very good player like that. He's very versatile, and he can play many different roles at scrum half for this team. And then obviously Marcus Smith at number 23, which I spoke about. He can plug in anywhere. I think he's one of those guys that he's a bit of a no-brainer to have in your team right now, almost like a Damian Willemse for South Africa. If he plays 23, he can come in at a lot of positions and he can make an impact. He's one of the leaders. I mean, when Marcus Smith comes onto the field, he is going to be one of the main playmakers and one of the leaders, so it's good to see him there. But overall, looking at this team, I'm very impressed with the selections of Steve Borthwick. I think just by judging with this, players that you don't see here, I mean, like Ollie Lawrence, Max Ojomo, there's some players like Chandler Cunningham himself. There's a lot of depth in this England squad, and I think it's very good for the internal competition to get guys playing at their best, but it's also good giving guys a rest when they need it, or if there's an injury, a guy can just easily plug into that position. So, I mean, Henry Slade as well is not even playing. So there's some really good players not playing right now, and I think they will be utilised, but this England team right here looks very strong. I'm very interested to see what Wales do to counteract this. But I will be doing a preview for the game based on both teams and a bit of a combined team between Wales and England. I'll be doing it for all the Six Nations games, guys. So if you do enjoy the content, please don't forget to like and subscribe to help the channel grow, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.